One of the finale's most important moments happens before the championship. When Marcelo is first thrown into the cage against Caracara, he refuses to fight. The crowd boos him, the organizers panic, and Club Zero's controlled spectacle falls apart. It's the first time Marcelo makes a decision for himself. Throughout the series, everyone has tried to define who Marcelo should become. Henrique wants him to be the perfect fighter. Club Zero sees him as entertainment. Tony trained him to survive violence. Even Marcelo himself has spent years believing he was destined to keep fighting. By refusing to throw a single punch, Marcelo proves that violence is no longer controlling him. His greatest act of strength isn't defeating an opponent, it's choosing not to fight when everyone expects him to. For most of the season, Tony insists he's protecting Marcelo by hiding the truth. Episode 6 finally reveals just how much he's concealed. Marcelo's real name is Marcelo Lazarus, and Tony admits he was one of the original founders of Club Zero. The revelation changes the series. Originally, Club Zero wasn't created as a criminal enterprise. It was an underground fighting club where young men released their anger under an unwritten code of honor. Everything changed when Tony accidentally killed another fighter. That single tragedy destroyed the illusion that violence could ever remain controlled. Unable to forgive himself, Tony abandoned that life and turned toward faith. But even after changing, he continued making one crucial mistake. Instead of trusting Marcelo with the truth, he built their relationship on secrecy. He believed he was protecting Marcelo. Instead, he prevented Marcelo from ever understanding who he really was. That's why Marcelo reacts so emotionally. His anger isn't about discovering his real name. It's about realizing his entire life has been shaped by decisions other people made for him. The training montage is more than preparation for a title fight. It's Tony becoming the father Marcelo always needed. Throughout the series, Tony trained fighters, now he mentors a son. Repeatedly calling Marcelo son is his way of accepting responsibility instead of continuing to hide behind guilt. More importantly, Tony stops teaching Marcelo only how to fight. Instead, he teaches him when fighting is no longer the answer. His speech before the championship is the emotional heart of the finale. Tony admits he once convinced himself he fought only to provide for his family. Eventually, he realized that part of him enjoyed it. It's the first time Tony stops lying not only to Marcelo but also to himself. Rather than pretending violence was noble, he admits it fed something destructive inside him. Only after acknowledging that truth can he encourage Marcelo to choose another path. During the fight, Malamute constantly insults Marcelo, calling him weak and insisting he'll always be a killer. Those insults represent everything Marcelo has believed about himself. For years, he's blamed himself for losing his wife. He believes he failed his son. He thinks his violent past defines who he is. Malamute gives those fears a voice. Even the illegal strike after the bell reinforces that idea. The fight itself isn't fair. Life never was either. Between rounds, Marcelo almost gives up. His hallucinations show that his greatest opponent has never been the man standing across the cage. It's always been his own guilt. Only after Tony reminds him he still has a choice does Marcelo return for the final round. Marcelo doesn't win through uncontrolled rage. He stays patient and waits. Then he capitalizes on Malamute's mistake by locking in a guillotine choke. The victory reflects everything Tony's been trying to teach him. Marcelo wins because he remains disciplined rather than becoming the monster everyone expected. While Marcelo and Tony both confront uncomfortable truths, Henrique does the exact opposite. Even after his daughter Yana witnesses Club Zero firsthand, Henrique refuses to accept responsibility. He insists every fighter chose to be there. To him, exploitation only exists if someone is innocent. Since the fighters wanted money, he convinces himself they deserved whatever happened. Henrique removes his own guilt by placing every responsibility on his victims. Even when Tony speaks about redemption belonging to God, Henrique believes only in himself. That conversation foreshadows his ending. And like Tony, Henrique never seeks forgiveness because he never believes he's done anything wrong. Although Marcelo defeats the champion inside the cage, Yana wins the more important battle outside it. She chooses to expose her own father. That decision costs her everything personally, but it also ends years of corruption. Henrique spent the entire series believing he controlled everyone around him through fear. His downfall comes from the one person he never expected to betray him, his own daughter. The federal police arrest him because the truth finally became public. Once corruption is exposed, even the most powerful criminal empire begins to collapse. Despite everyone telling Marcelo's son that his father is gone, the boy refuses to stop believing. Both father and son refuse to give up on family. When the child is robbed while searching alone, the series shows how dangerous blind hope can become. Yet that hope pays off. Father and son reunite. Marcelo doesn't reclaim his championship, he reclaims the role of father. For someone who spent most of the series believing he'd lost everything, embracing his son matters more than any trophy. Gabriella's final conversation with Tony demonstrates how much she's changed. Earlier in the episode, she confronts him for hiding Marcelo's past. By the ending, she proposes rebuilding the Trindade gym. The gym once represented violence and buried secrets. Gabriella wants it to become the exact opposite. She even decides to become a fighter herself to restore the family's reputation. Her only condition is no more lies. The finale suggests that redemption doesn't come from defeating Malamute or exposing Henrique. It comes from accepting responsibility without allowing guilt to control the future. Marcelo never stops mourning his wife or blaming himself for the pain he caused. Those scars don't disappear after one victory. Instead, he learns that his past doesn't have to dictate every decision he makes moving forward. That idea mirrors Tony's journey. Tony cannot erase accidentally killing a man decades earlier. Henrique cannot undo the suffering Club Zero caused. Marcelo cannot change the tragedies that shaped his life. But unlike Henrique, both Tony and Marcelo choose to confront those truths instead of hiding from them. That's the real difference between the heroes and the villain. By the end of episode 6, Club Zero collapses because its secrets are exposed. Henrique falls because he refuses to change. Tony tells the truth after decades of silence. Marcelo embraces his real identity as Marcelo Lazares, while refusing to let that identity be defined by violence alone. His final victory isn't becoming champion. It's proving that people are not prisoners of the worst things they've done or the worst things that have been done to them. The finale argues that redemption isn't about forgetting the past or pretending it never happened. Instead, it's about facing it honestly, accepting responsibility, and choosing to build something better. For Marcelo, reclaiming his name, embracing his son, and walking away from the cycle of violence is a far greater triumph than any championship belt could ever represent.